Mafia, welcome in. Let's dive into the all 22 clips from the Bills' loss to the Texans. This is actually the first drive of the game. The Bills started on defense. They got a 3-and-out. Here's the third down play. And some things I really like about this. So first of all, let's look at the personnel grouping. Texans are empty, and the Bills are going to give a one-high man coverage look. And they're not disguising anything. They're in man coverage. They're content with letting you know that based on these matchups, right? You have Matt Milano as the outside player here. That's a pretty good tell that you're in man coverage. But they're going to try to get a slot fade here against Trey White's coverage. And this is a really good job by Trey White, staying square through the release and then doing a good job of getting hands-on, right? This is when you get into their space like this, that limits them from being able to get into a full sprint off the line. And so you get into that space with your hand, and then you just crowd, right? Don't let them run away from you. That's a good job. Getting into the space, leaning in, and then remaining sticky down the field. Get your head around, and that's going to require a really, really perfect throw to drop it in the bucket and complete it. So I love this man coverage rep here from Trey White. That's good technique. It's good fundamentals. It's a nice job. They're isolating you. They said they want that slot fade on you. Got a good-looking rookie receiver there in Jaden Higgins. They get it done. And Jordan Hancock's your one-high safety here. That's interesting, right? So third down, not even like a super long third down, third and a couple. And Jordan Hancock's your one-high middle-of-the-field safety. He's shading this way, which is that's Nico Collins. So that's the way you'd probably want to shade, even though the passing strength is this way, right? You got a 3x2, but shade towards Nico Collins, right? I think that's a good default, and then figure it out from there. Also, this was probably I haven't watched enough of this game yet to know, but this feels like maybe the best pass rush rep of the game for the Bills. You get some nice wins from Bosa and Rousseau. So Bosa right here, and he's playing with one hand, right? But his one hand that he can use is this inside hand. This is the one he doesn't have. So I'm guessing Bosa is going to play exclusively from this side, right? It's going to be tough to not have use of your inside hand on this side. So he gets a good jump off the ball here. Clean win. 1, 2, 3. He's turning. Tackles late with his hands. Get him off. Turn. Really close with the pressure, and then Rousseau, very quiet game for him, but this is a good rep here, running right over this rookie left tackle. Good job with him, and is that Daquan there? Daquan and him working kind of a game here, and boy, took him for a ride there. So good pressure, good coverage from Trey, and get off the field there on third down. All right, here's the James Cook 45-yard touchdown run, and the Bills are going to run a counter scheme here, and the idea is that the first two are the two players you don't block. So you don't block this player, you don't block this player, and it actually winds up being a very good adjustment on the fly from the Bills because again you're trying to leave this player and this player unblocked because you've got Hawes and Gilliam coming to create that space. And so Spencer Brown is trying to influence this player inside, and he kind of takes him there on his own, or he takes himself there on his own. And you can see that Jackson Hawes is coming around. He's expecting to block this player and doesn't quite do what he thinks he's going to do, right? And so now all of a sudden he's looking for work. He's like, okay, well, if you're going to do that, you're going to block yourself. So Hawes is in a spot where he's got to adjust on the fly, and he almost gets in trouble here because he would then want to get his eyes to zero as the number 2 player from the end here. And Gilliam's able to get through there and clean up zero, right? That's the Mike linebacker, and that's a heck of a block by Gilliam, getting him out of there. And then Hawes eventually finds work, right? And it winds up being this safety who's coming downhill to fill. You get a piece of him, and James Cook's out the gate, right? So good adjustments on the fly here. Of course, Shavers sustaining his block matters a ton, but, this 92 blocks himself basically by trying to squeeze down the gap, and kind of looks like an ugly rep for Spencer, but you're happy with him doing that. He takes himself out of the play. Gilliam with the key block here on 0. Hawes adjusts on the fly, and he's out the gate. 45-yard touchdown. Notice that James Cook doesn't do the flip into the end zone this time. So maybe he's over that, but it's a fun way to start the game. So this is the possession where the Texans just ran the ball like crazy against the Bills, and this is the drive starter right here. And you got Deion Walker, you've got Jordan Phillips, you got TJ Sanders playing defensive end, and all three of these dudes get wiped off the face of the earth. Watch it 3 times and watch somebody different. Let's start with Deion Walker. Is going to take on this double, and it's completely washed out of there, right? Look at this double by Jordan Phillips. Goes for a ride here, right? Just manhandled. I mean, come on, that's embarrassing, dude. What are you doing, man? You're getting blown 10 yards off the ball. Jordan Phillips, like, what's the point? What's the point, dude? That's crap. And then look at TJ Sanders. Like, I don't know. This guy's not a defensive end. He's playing defensive end. I mean, your 3 down linemen, Epinesa is like your backside edge. You're just, I mean, this is called getting blown off the ball and getting displaced. I mean, the fact that they only got like 7 yards here is incredible. What's the second level supposed to do? What are you supposed to do for either of these guys? You're supposed to read through the guards, right? How the hell are you supposed to read through the guards when they're in your lap because these defensive linemen are getting blown off the ball? I mean, this is a bad offensive line, and this is embarrassing by 96, 52, and 98. Just getting completely reset and driven off the ball. Like when you're facing a double, like watch Jordan Phillips here. When you're facing a double and you know that you don't have it, like you're getting rooted out, you got to drop to a knee. You got to drop to a knee and create a pile. You can't just keep on taking the ride, just being on these roller skates, just getting pushed around. Like you gotta take a knee and create a pile there. Same thing with Deion Walker over here. Like, dude, you can't get rooted out like that far. Same thing with TJ Sanders. Like, it's just, oh God, you ain't gonna stop anybody when your defensive line's getting blown off the ball. Here's the very next play. Look at Jordan Phillips right here. 3 tech. Buddy. I mean, you just can't do it, dude. You just can't do it. You cannot just get driven off the ball like that. That's back-to-back plays, dude. Pretty sure that's his first 2 snaps of the game, too. Like, did you want to be here, man? Like, you can't do that. And that's why it's like, man, like, cool job waving your arms and stuff like that, but that's phony, dude. Get yourself ready to go before you worried about the crowd, man. Like, you can't get blasted off the ball like that against a double. They're running duo. And you're just not going to be able to win like that. I mean, it's a lot better job by Deion Walker here against this double. Yeah. 52. Let's just, there's just no point. There's no point. All right, here's the same drive, and the Bills are going to give up another decent-sized run, and it just shows how little margin for error there is in the NFL. Like, you got to be in your spots when you're supposed to be in the spots, playing with the right technique. And who's going to be wrong here is Matt Milano. And the Bills are playing single-gap defense here, so Larry Ogunjobi actually does a pretty good job here of winning his gap, staying leverage, and kind of being in a decent spot to make a play. So this is his gap. This gap right here is Matt Milano's gap, okay? Daquan Jones's gap, Terrell Bernard's gap. This is the backer's gap, and then you have the edge player, right? They're going to win through this A gap, Matt Milano's gap. Well, if the A gap is Matt Milano's gap, you can't play this block with this leverage. You got to be in your gap, right? This is the gap you have to be in right here. You can't go into Larry Ogunjobi's gap, right? This is Larry Ogunjobi's gap. You got to be in this gap. Well, in order to do that, you can't take on this block like this. You got to stay leveraged over top. You have to leverage your gap. This is your gap. You can't take it. You can't take on with this shoulder to this shoulder. You cannot do it. You cannot do it. You're out of your gap. And so unless Larry Ogunjobi can make this play in the backfield, which I wish he would have, the real person at fault here is Matt Milano. If Matt Milano's in his gap and leveraging this block the right way, well, he's where he's supposed to be, and this is a very minimal gain, if anything. Well, you're not in your gap, and now all of a sudden you've got a really nice lane for the running back because you can't take on a block with the right leverage. It might seem small to you, but you can't take on this block like that. You can't do it. It's bad fundamentals. You got to play it leverage over this side. It's just that simple. And that's all it takes. One person taking on the block with the wrong shoulder, you give up a chunk on the ground. It's that simple. You've probably heard me talk about the Bills' run defense and how it has problems with motion and how motion moves the second level and then the team runs the other way. So that's exactly what's going to happen here. So look at the second level and how they're lined up. If they stay like this, they're going to be in business. Well, motion at the snap means everybody bumps, right? Everybody bumps over a gap. So here's the motion, and now Milano, Bernard, Taron Johnson all move over a gap, and boy, that's exciting for the Texans because that puts every one of their blockers at an advantageous angle to hit their block. And so we motion run one way, we run the other, and this is going to be crack toss. So they're going to crack on Joey Bosa, and Joey Bosa only has one hand. So you attack this arm, and there's nothing he can do. This is the only hand that's functional for him. This is an impossible situation for him because he's got to take – this is a freaking receiver right here. It's a receiver that's going to block down on Joey Bosa, and Joey Bosa with one hand can't really beat it. So there's that. Motion at the snap. We're going to run the other direction, and now everybody's pinned inside, right? Everybody's pinned inside because they got all these good angles. And Taron's caught up in the wash here. Cole Bishop has got a down block on him. And you got a heck of an alley here, right? Christian Benford's doing the best he can to take on a guy that's 200 pounds more than him. And that's really all you want him to be able to do is funnel that run back inside, leverage, and push it back inside. That's what he does. But unfortunately, this is just a lot of wash right here. And you got your defensive end playing on one hand. Can't get there. Now all of a sudden it puts Jordan Poyer from depth in a position where he's got to make a tackle. But hey, you want to get yards on the Bills? It's not hard. I can give you a lot of different ways, but one of the most prolific ways against the Bills is you motion one way at the snap, run the ball the other. Their linebackers are going to move out of the gap. And, well, if you run outside to the offensive right and Joey Bosa's out there, he's only got one hand. So it's tough. Tough to play defense like that. All right, so if you've followed some of the reaction coming out of this game, you know that there's a lot of commentary about how often the Bills run mesh. And if you've been watching these All-22 review tapes that I put together over the years, you know that we talk about mesh all the time because the Bills run mesh all the time. And so there's obviously some good things about mesh, but there are some limitations to it. And so let's talk about some of those limitations and why against Houston it's not a great call. So this is a third down. This is actually a play where Josh gets hit, and we'll show you that piece, and he's kicking his legs and all that. We all hated that. His arm went numb. But let's work through this. So what is mesh? Mesh means that you're going to have a shallow from this side and a shallow from this side. They're going to mesh, right? And so you're hoping to get like just a lot of traffic here, and you get some natural rubs, and you hope that people come out the other side open, right? So neither one of these guys is really able to get through there uncovered, but a lot of times you get a nice natural rub, and one of these two players can shoot out, and you'll have an open player, right? But you can see that obviously Houston's pretty ready for that. So that's the fundamental of mesh, but then there's other routes that are kind of built off of the mesh concept. And one thing that the Bills like to do is run mesh and then over top of the ball, right? So right where they mesh, you have a sit route over top, right? And so that's what you have here with Josh Palmer. And boy, that looks great, right? You'd love to just throw it. Don't know why the quarterback didn't throw it, because that he loves it. And he threw the interception last week on this exact concept, and he was so locked in on it, and he forced it and is never really open. Well, this would be an example of, hey, you have your layered mesh, so your mesh, your sit route over top. Like, Josh has got to rip that, right? Rip that and get a first down on 3rd and 7. And he doesn't do it. And there's a little bit of an anticipatory element to this, right? Right, where you're reading it out, and like, this is a pretty good picture to understand that he's going to sit down, there's going to be space. Ball's got to be thrown. I understand that there's eventual pressure, and he's got some people in his face, and that maybe affects his sight line, but it certainly appears to me that this is a throwable situation. He doesn't do it. And then he, runs, and he's going to wind up getting hit. I'm not sure what he's hoping for. Is he hoping to hit the deep over to, is that, I don't know, that Gabe or Elijah Moore, whoever that is right there, that looks like Shakir, I don't know, whatever player this is. Maybe that's where his eyes, that's what he wants. But I don't know. Within structure, the mesh with the sit route over top seems pretty nice to me. Josh doesn't take it, and he takes off. And I don't know, he's kind of looking at this, and as he's climbing, like, you could still throw it, man. You could still throw this if you want to. He doesn't throw either one. And he ultimately doesn't run either, and he just gets hit from behind, and his arm goes numb. So I think that's Josh needed to throw the ball to 5 here. But one of the issues with mesh that we will eventually uncover as this game moves along is that you really can't throw the ball until these routes clear. This route has to clear the ball. This route has to clear the ball. And that puts stress on your protection, right? Because the ball can't really come out quick. And so when you're going up against great pass rushers like Houston has, and you can't even really make a decision with the ball until they clear, well, you're putting a lot of stress on your protection to hold up. And so that's why I think mesh is not a great call against Houston, but the Bills spam mesh more than any team you'll ever see. And it puts a lot of stress on their protection schemes because you can't throw it until those routes clear. So just a number of breakdowns on this particular play, but ultimately Josh has got to throw it to Josh. Layered mesh, sit route over the ball, rip it. Rip it. Rip it. And even if he has eyes for the deep over to Elijah Moore, like, rip it. That was a play to be made within structure and didn't happen, but that's kind of the challenge with mesh. This rep right here of Gabe Davis against Kamari Lassiter is phenomenal. And this is where you can really see how Gabe can elevate what Keon Coleman is currently giving them. And this is a very good route on the vertical plane, and that's where Gabe Davis finds his success, as a vertical plane route runner. Not a guy that's going to be able to really snap off those hard horizontal breaks and uncover, but if you get him on the vertical plane, he's got some skill. And this is a very, very good job of working this release, right? You're selling vertical, and what Gabe's able to do here is get on the same level, and he really attacks kind of a blind spot of this corner, snap off the route, and then work back down stem here to give yourself an available option for the quarterback. I mean, that's just phenomenal. Push vertical, attack that blind spot, throttle down, make yourself available. You're on the same page. I mean, you got 3-4 yards of separation there at the target. That's phenomenal. Being able to push vertical, attack the blind spot, throttle down, make a catch. That's what you need. That's what you need out of that spot. You got to be able to do this. And you could tell there's a lot more natural skill from Gabe and a lot more chemistry baked in with Josh Allen. That's a heck of a drive starter there, backed up in your own territory. All right, so here's a very disappointing sequence. The Bills had it 1st and 10 from the 14-yard line. And the reason they got there was they had a really nice 4th and 2 completion to Ty Johnson down the field that got him to the 1st and 10 from the 14. And then on 1st down, they had a negative 1-yard run that was to Ty Johnson. And I think they wanted to set up a cutback opportunity, and Osiris Torrance went to the 2nd level before clearing up the 1st level, and so Tim Settle was able to knife in and make a play. But here's your 2nd down play, and Josh Allen's going to take a sack here. And I think he initially wants Josh Palmer on a kind of a fade route here. So number 5, he wants a fade route to Palmer, and you don't get any separation, right? So Derek Stingley has that thing taken care of, right? So number 1 is no. All right, fine. We can live with that. Number 2 is going to be Knox, right? Knox on the little outbreaker. I mean, to me, you got to take it, right? This is the Houston pass rush. Like, you don't have time to say no to open guys. Like, you just have to take it, right? Just take the throw. Okay, you say no to that. Come back to number 3, which is going to be James Cook. Take it. Take it, right? You just got to take it, right? You got to mitigate loss. Whatever. It's not the play you want on 2nd and 12. You're searching for something bigger. But 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, that's a heck of a lot better than 3rd and 22. All right, so Josh, this isn't a game where you can be indecisive. Not against this rush. No way. Okay, number 1's taken. That's fine. Work the ball to Knox. Okay, you should take it. Work the ball to Cook. And this is all within the structure of the play. Like, he's able, he has the platform and vision to throw it to 88. He has the platform and vision to throw it to 4. He doesn't do it. And then he gets sacked, and this is the play where everyone clowns Deion Dawkins. And look, I think Deion Dawkins deserves a ton of criticism. He's not having a good year. We go through this with Jerry on Wednesday nights, and we've seen a lot of mistakes from Deion Dawkins that we don't typically. And yeah, he should probably continue blocking on this particular play, but this is 100% a coverage snap. And one of the challenges of a coverage sack, and one of the challenges of blocking for Josh Allen is you don't really know where he's going to be, right? The launch points can be all over the place. And for Deion Dawkins, there's probably a never in a million years did he anticipate that Josh Allen's going to be right there. Yeah, he's got to stay on the block. Like, I'm not trying to excuse that, but that's got to be part of the thought process. Like, okay, dude, like, Deion doesn't know where Josh is. I never would think that Deion thinks he's going to be right where he is. And now it's just an ugly play. But the reality is, you can clown Deion. That's fine. But this is, Josh Allen's has got to say yes to open receivers. And he said no to 2 of them before running into a sack. So it's an ugly one. 1st and 10 at the 14 to 3rd and 22. Yeah, I don't know why the Bills have TJ Sanders playing defensive end. That's just not what he does. It's not a position that works for him. And it's not fair to him. You know, this is a player that you drafted high in the 2nd round, traded up for him to play defensive tackle for you. And come on now, you don't have that Oliver. Like, play him at defensive tackle. And they're playing him at defensive end. And last week he played exclusively defensive end. And so if I'm Nick Caley, the offensive coordinator for the Texans, and I'm thinking about TJ Sanders playing defensive end, I'm going to have some stuff in the game plan to go after that. And that's exactly what this is. This is a reverse right at TJ Sanders. And if you've played defensive end your whole life, this is tough to deal with, much less, you're coming off injury in your rookie season and playing defensive end, I guess out of necessity. But, first of all the communication, I don't know that anybody's not doing this. Everyone needs to be yelling reverse, 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 reverse. All right, TJ Sanders is your contained player here, and he blocks himself, right? He goes inside. They've got a puller here for him, or not a puller. They have a lead blocker, and this fullback, they have a lead blocker for him, and he blocks himself. Goes inside the block. And, boy, there you go. Just here's a bunch of green grass. I think the Bills did a good job, of tackling when they did. That's a good fill by Cole Bishop. In fact, I think this is the least amount of yards that they could have got. It's a good job by Benford, the corner, to force it back inside, and then, of course, Bishop to fill. But point being is, this is silly. That's not giving him his best opportunity to be successful here in his rookie season, asking him to play defensive end, blocking himself, having no idea what to do on a reverse. Yeah, that's not putting your players in the ideal spot to be successful. All right, here's the Houston touchdown on 3rd and goal, and what you have is a breakdown between Max Hairston and Taron Johnson. And I don't know confidently which one's wrong, okay? They're communicating right here. They're talking. Taron says something, and obviously they're just not on the same page because they both defend the same person. So the Bills are in man coverage here, right? Man here, Bishop's got the back. And then you've got these two eligibles here for Taryn and Max. I'm guessing Taryn, like the concern here is you have the potential for a switch release, which means he'll go inside and he'll go outside, and then that'll create a rub and you might fall off, and they just need a little bit of space to complete a pass. And they actually don't switch release, right? They kind of fake like they're going to, but neither one of them actually switches, which I think messes up whatever call Max and Taryn have, and they wind up both taking the outside player. So I don't know who to assign the blame to, but one of them is wrong. One of them is supposed to go with 13. My guess, and again, this is a guess, my guess is that Taryn is supposed to carry 13. And if it's a switch, then you do switch, but there was never a switch. There was never a switch. I don't think Cole Bishop's part of this equation. I think Cole Bishop's playing man coverage on this running back. That's my thought. I could be wrong about it, but that's what I see here. The point being is you had a coverage breakdown because your communication didn't land, right? Somebody was wrong, and you gave up a touchdown on 3rd and goal, and maybe they would, maybe they'd kick a field goal instead if they were to get to 4th down. All right, here's Josh Allen's interception, and I honestly don't take much exception with it at all. I think it's just a really good play by their linebacker, Azeez Al-Shaair. They're going to try to get the ball to Elijah Moore, who's right here. They're going to get him on a deep comeback. And so press vertical, turn around, come back to the football. And ultimately, this linebacker just makes a phenomenal play right here, where when Josh makes this decision, he's buzzing out towards James Cook on this flat route. Right, Josh makes this decision. That linebacker's going. It looks like he's going with the flat route. He's able to stop and then very quickly take a good angle and get his hands on the football and tip it up for the pick. I mean, this looks like a backer that's going to drive on this route. I mean, I understand what Josh sees. Like, yeah, whatever. Like, in hindsight, you'd love for him to get the ball up a little bit more or whatever, but this looks like this is uncovering exactly how you want it to. Guy comes back and makes a freaking great play. You never want that stuff to happen, but it's like, I don't know, sometimes it just happens and the other team makes a really good play, and that's what happens here. Whatever. I don't put much stock into that one. It's an unfortunate result, but the process was fine, and the guy made a great play. So coming off the turnover, the Bills' defense is in a sudden change situation, and boy, they make a heck of a stop here. 2 nice tackles for loss, and then they ultimately kick a field goal. But here's the first tackle for loss. I guess it's made by Larry Ogunjobi, but Shaq Thompson plays a huge role in this play. Knifing in there, kind of playing through around that block and contorting his body to be able to get involved on the tackle, but then Larry Ogunjobi shooting his gap. They combined for a really nice tackle for a loss there to put them behind the sticks initially, and then you get right here to 2nd down, and they're going to try to isolate this running back up in space and believe that he can make Matt Milano miss, and Milano, that's just a great job, right? Milano's missed this tackle a bunch of times in his career, but not this time. That's a good job closing. That's perfect form. Aim low, wrap up, bring your feet through it, get him on the ground. You get him in 3rd and long, short completion, field goal. That's a heck of a job by the defense in a sudden change situation. All right, here's Ray Davis's kick return touchdown, and very similar to some of the success they had last week in the return game against Tampa Bay, where they'll kind of put these 3 guys right here, and depending on the direction of the kick, they'll go that way to make sure that they can get numbers to the direction that they want. And so this kick's going here to Ray Davis, and so we send those 3 to the left, and now we've got good angles, right? And so I think really a couple of really key things that happen here. Look at Javon Solomon and his work on this block. But obviously that's tough to sustain it for that long. And so I think you see Joe Andreessen do a good job of coming over here and kind of cleaning that up, making sure that there's no pursuit from here. And then ultimately Dorian, he's in a battle here taking on this block. and he holds on for as long as he can. And obviously this dude eventually kind of squeezes down that lane, but Ray Davis is able to stay up and kind of just spin through all that mess, and now you're just one-on-one with a kicker, and you don't get tackled by kickers, right? Cut back across the grain and just, all right, now you're the guy that's pulling away from everyone. So he did the James Cook thing, but I like the idea, the design of the return. It's been very successful for the Bills. Solomon hanging on for dear life. Joe Andreessen cleans it up. Dorian staying with it. Ray Davis staying up, spin out of there, cut across the field to make sure that kicker don't get you down, who's coming off of a quadricep injury. Score a touchdown. Fun play. The Bills give up a couple of big passing plays on this drive that are pretty unfortunate. This is the first one to Nico Collins, and the Bills are going to show a too-high presentation with the safeties at the snap, and this is good disguise. This is going to ultimately be cover one with a robber, so they're actually in man coverage. Just kind of looks like cover two, but it's not. It's going to be man coverage, cover one, and your deep middle of the field safety is going to be Hancock, and then you're going to buzz down. Bishop is your robber player, right? So he gets to clean up anything that comes in this area, and he does, right? They're going to be able to get this little seam shot to Nico Collins. I mean, that's reasonably good coverage there by Benford. You know you're supposed to have some inside help. I mean, it's probably more or less just a really good throw and catch by the Texans. And Bishop is there to clean it up. That's a good catch. I mean, look at it from this angle. This is a good, clean, legal hit, right? It's tough to do that anymore in the NFL, is give good, clean, legal hits over the middle of the field. And, I mean, Bishop smacks him, and this sucker holds on to the ball. Come on, dude. You really had to hold on to that. He takes a shot. I mean, that's his clean, legal, perfect timing, and this sucker holds on to the ball. But how about Cole Bishop? I mean, I know you kind of probably saw this on the replay on TV, but for Bishop to lay this hit and then simultaneously, like, try to get that foot trapped in there, and Collins is on the ground. I mean, let's be honest, Collins has got pull-away speed. I don't know, if Hancock, who's turning, is going to be able to track him down. Like, that might have been like a touchdown saving tackle here by Bishop in a very hard spot. So, man, sometimes the other team just makes some plays, and that's an example of it there. This was the other killer on that Texans touchdown drive before the half, where they weren't even really trying to score a touchdown. They were going to be happy to get a field goal off. And the Bills are in cover 6 here. So they're going to play cover 2 to this side. They're going to play cover 4 to this side. So 2 plus 4 is 6. That's why we call it cover 6. So what that means is Cole Bishop is the deep safety to this side. He's got half the field. And then you have, this is Hancock and Hairston. He's got a quarter. He's got a quarter. And then underneath of that is where the Bills have some problems. So Taron Johnson is your flat defender, right? And so he is in conflict all the way through. First of all, he's got to carry and squeeze this route before sending it to the defenders behind it. Then he's got to dig. That's coming back across his face. But he's also the flat defender, and now you have a threat to the flat. And so he's trying to squeeze this route and also get to his assignment in the flat. And that puts him in no man's land. And this is your defender that needs to be capping. Terrell Bernard needs to be capping this in cut. And where's he going? What's he doing? Just drifting, going. Dude, you got to get there, man. You got to get there. And neither one's there. Terrell, where are we going, bud? Where are we going, Terrell? There's a pitch and catch and a long completion here that sets up a touchdown. This is Taron Johnson and Terrell Bernard. It's got to be better. That's got to be better. That's got to be better than that. Boy, disappointing. You hear baby Reese crying outside my door? She's not crying. She's just talking, but she's upset about this as well. Then they ultimately give up the touchdown. This is going to be on Cam Lewis. Jaden Higgins, the rookie receiver, is going to kind of widen his release, which kind of takes Cam Lewis that way. And then he crosses face. You can't let your face get crossed. Even if you have help to the inside, you can't get crossed like this. Cam Lewis gets crossed up. Easy completion. Touchdown for the bad guys. It's a nice route here by whoever this is to kind of attack this safety a little bit, which occupies him just a tick, right? That doesn't allow him to drive downhill on the route. So nice little combination there, but ultimately Cam Lewis can't let his face get crossed, and Houston gets a big touchdown there before the half. All right, so here's a Josh Allen sack on third down that ends the drive. They want to get the ball to Palmer on a deep shot. Palmer's up here working up against Stingley. It's actually not a bad route by Palmer. I mean, he's able to very quickly stack him vertically, and you're working a route towards the sideline here. And I mean, what more can you want, right? You just throw it out there and hope your guy can go make a play on the ball. Unfortunately, Josh Allen doesn't have the time to do that. Spencer Brown gets beat here by Will Anderson. So it's a deep route, so you need to be able to hit the top of your drop and be able to hitch and throw the football. And I mean, Josh doesn't really get there without this right side kind of caving in on him, and then he winds up running around and taking a very, very significant loss on the play. And Josh is obviously trying to compete and keep it alive, but sometimes as a quarterback you just need to mitigate risk, mitigate loss. And think about this, like you would be punting from, the ball would be snapped right here, the 38. And if you just throw it away, at this point, you just got to throw it away, dude. There's nothing there. I understand he's battling, all right? He's a competitor. He's battling. He wants to get back outside here and throw the ball, but he takes a huge loss, right? So, you're losing 12, 13 yards of field position because you take a sack like that. You just got to throw it away and punt the ball, and now you lose a bunch of field position. So, had a decent opportunity there to throw one to Palmer. Obviously, Stingley's in a really good corner. He can certainly make a play on the ball, but the reality is I don't think Josh ever had a chance to get the ball off to him. Spencer takes a loss here. I think this is before the injury. Let's talk about his technique here. I actually like a lot of the idea of what Spencer's trying to get done here. He just doesn't quite follow through with it. So what he's trying to do here is keep his hands low, and he's getting what he wants is for Will Anderson to throw his hands, right? He's baiting him to throw his hands. That's what Spencer's trying to do. And then you throw his hands, you kind of get some momentum out on top of him, and you try to use that against him. And unfortunately, Will Anderson is just able to really control himself here and not lose, all of his momentum, right? He doesn't really get the rug pulled out from underneath him. So what Spencer has to do, if you want to give him this illusion that you're going to punch and pull back and you want him to throw hands, well, now you got to be able to snatch trap or, pull him down. And I think he maybe underestimated how explosive Will Anderson is, because when he's going to snatch and pull him down, he's got a step on him, right? He's got a step. He's already cleared that outside or that near hip. So Spencer's outside hip, the near hip to the pass rusher. So I like the idea, hey, get him to throw hands, then you get him off balance, pull the rug out from underneath, put him on his face. Well, you got to keep moving with him, and Will Anderson's pretty freaking explosive, and so that doesn't really work, and Anderson's able to, stay up and get his hands on Josh, and then the chicken with his head cut off routine begins from there. So, yeah, decent route from Palmer. Decent idea from Spencer. Doesn't quite follow through with it. Will Anderson's unbelievable, and Josh doesn't mitigate the loss, and you punt from pretty far back on a reasonable third down opportunity. All right, here's another Josh Allen third down sack to end the drive, and you got some problems here. And the idea that the Bills have is they want to get the ball to Khalil Shakir here. And they're going to have Gabe run this route in such a way that the whole intent is to create a rub, right? You work inside. You kind of occupy both of these defenders. You get this nice rub, and then you run this kind of in cut behind it, and you throw it for a first down. And the problem is that this linebacker is in the way, right? That's the problem. This linebacker is in the way of making that throw. Why is he in the way of making that throw? So let's talk about that. Ty Johnson is the reason why he's in the way here. So Ty Johnson's job here is he's staying in to block, right? And if there's no threat, then you go run out for a pass, right? So we'll show it from the reverse angle, but Ty's looking around, at the snap. He's trying to figure out who he's going to block, and there's no threat to that side, right? You got 5 to block 4. You're good. Ty Johnson says, we're good. I'm going out for a pass. And when he goes out for a pass, that takes this linebacker into that throwing lane. It's no longer available. So now Josh has to go somewhere else, right? When he realizes that linebacker is in his sight line, he's got to go somewhere else. He can't work to this anymore. And by that time, the pocket's just collapsing around him. So that's your problem there. Ty Johnson, when he releases for the route, he winds up taking a linebacker into that line of sight. I don't think Ty Johnson did anything wrong. It's just the consequence of what happened here. And so let's look at the protection side of this. You can see Ty, right? Ty's doing what he's supposed to. Looking, scanning, right? There's no threat. He's looking to see if this backer is going to come. This backer's not going to come. You see where his eyes are? That backer pulls into coverage. Ty goes out for the route. Then you just have some issues here where Spencer Brown is going to get twisted up. This is Danielle Hunter. It's going to hit him with an inside spin, and that's a heck of a job by Hunter. And then you have Osiris Torrance, who, thinks he's doing a good job here of, tossing this dude to his left, but it just puts him in a position to get up and affect Josh Allen, and Danielle Hunter eventually gets him down. It's just like nothing went the way you needed it to, right? You had all the right ideas. Ty Johnson going out for that route, carries that backer into the line of sight. Spencer Brown loses on an inside spin. Osiris Torrance thinks he's throwing a dude out of the club, and he's really just throwing him into a pressure. It's like, what do you do, man? Sometimes football is cruel to you. The Bills force a punt on the next drive because they pretty much forced a punt every time in the second half. And it's a really good job here by Daquan Jones. He's going to get doubled here as the one tech. And what he does is he makes sure that Matt Milano can be free here. That's what he wants to do. It looks a little bit ugly, but what Daquan's able to do here to not allow this center or this guard to get to the second level puts Milano in a position where he can play peekaboo with the running back and then fill. And that's a great job from A.J. Epinesa from the backside, right? They're leaving him unblocked as the backside defensive end. Good job being disciplined. Stay square, get down the line of scrimmage, make a play. Good edge here by Rousseau, right? You got to win the edge. Firm edge, make sure everything goes back inside. Daquan doing his 111th. Matt Milano filling. Epinesa from the backside. We love it. Get off the field on it's like 3rd and 1. That's a heck of a job. On 3rd and 1, they punt on the next play. So nice stop from the D. You get a big 3rd down conversion here, but it winds up being a fumble. Getting the ball to Shakir here in the slot. Just going to run an over route here. Run away from coverage. Josh puts it on him. It's a little behind him. He fumbles. Protection holds up. You get a big conversion there on 3rd down. And instead you give the Texans the ball deep in Bills territory. I guess if you wanted to get real critical, you could say that Josh Allen's got to put that out in front of him. He can't throw it to that shoulder. It needs to be to the other shoulder. And if Shakir doesn't have to reach back for it, he can just tuck it and run and maybe even break an angle and get a huge play. It's inside. Kalen Bullock strips the ball. I'd love for this ball to be out here, so that doesn't have to happen, but ultimately Shakir take care of the ball, man. That's a killer, man. That's an absolute killer. You get them the ball right back there. Frustrating. The Bills held Houston to a field goal after the Shakir fumble, due in large to a couple of nice plays by Matt Milano. Here's the first. Houston is running duo, and so that means they want to double both these defensive tackles. And on this side, they want to double Deion Walker and then get the center to climb up to Matt Milano. Well, Matt Milano knows what they're trying to do, fires his gun, and gets in the backfield. You see how he gets ahead of that block from the center? And so it's a good job of getting downhill. It's a good job by Deion Walker to hold at the point of attack, to not allow himself to get displaced, and creates that opportunity for Milano to fire and get downhill. And so he's able to do that. Let's get that running back to slow down, and we collaborate for a nice tackle there and limit their production. The next play by Milano is a great job of leveraging his gap against this counter run. So they're going to pull the backside tackle and guard and bring them play side. So these guys are blocking down and they want to get some kickouts. Milano, see, eyes are in the right spot. Replay through the guards, see the pullers, and just leverage, and then get downhill and make a play. So that's a great job by Milano. It's also a great job by Ogunjobi and Deion Walker to be able to fight pressure with pressure, right? These guys are trying to collapse this side down. And look at Ogunjobi and Deion Walker fight that, right? They're squeezing. Squeeze that down. It's a heck of a job. Put Milano in a great position to make the play here. And Bosa, it's a heck of a job by not getting too far up the field. That's perfect wrong arm technique. Bosa wrong arm, funnel that back inside. Milano leveraging his gap, fire your gun, fill, and then you have your defensive tackles straining to not allow themselves to get collapsed down on this side. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. Sometimes it looks really good. That's an example of it right there. Holding to 3 after a horrible fumble. All right, so here's the first play after the Bills hold Houston to a field goal. And the Bills are trying to dial up a shot play. Play action shot on first down. And they protect with 7. We have a 7-man blocking surface here on this play action shot, right? We got a couple of verticals here. We got a dig to Palmer. We got a shot to Moore. And honestly, I suppose you could throw either one. Problem is, Houston's in man coverage, right? They're in man coverage and they're blitzing right here. This is just a good scheme win for Houston. So you're blitzing right here, which completely takes away your ability to roll out, right? If this player is in coverage, this is a non-factor on the rollout. Josh Allen's able to get around here with his eyes on down the field, and Gilliam's going to handle any threat to that side. Well, he blitzes, of course, so you're in trouble. And then because they're in man coverage, my guess is that because this backer would be the man coverage player on Gilliam, on 85, on Hawes. When he stays in the block, he just blitzes. So they just have the perfect call. They had the perfect call. You have a play action boot. They're blitzing to the side that you're rolling to with the corner. You keep the tight end in to block, which invites another blitzer. Nothing you can do. Just get sacked. It's a good scheme win. It's a very good scheme win by Houston on that play. So the Bills actually overcome the sack that I showed you. Josh Allen has a big scramble, and then James Cook has a 20-yard run. And after the 20-yard run, they give the ball to James Cook 4 more times. So 5 runs in a row. He's gassed on the 4th down play. This is the 4th down play that he gets blown up on. He wants to get off the field. They keep him on the field. The play call comes in late, which means that you're limited in your ability to check at the line of scrimmage, change the direction of the run. Like, you're kind of just locked into that play. This is a huge 4th quarter play. And your running back's tired to begin with, and they just blow it up, right? Look at Houston getting off the ball. It's important to him. Look at the way Will Anderson takes on this puller. It's important to him. Smash it down. Look at 4 buzzing, flying in there. It's important to him. Look at 90. Shoot his gap. It's important to him, right? Look at 98. Reset the line of scrimmage. 72 in his gap playing with leverage. 55 backside defensive end. Squeezing down. Like, all these dudes want it. They want it bad. And the Bills have problems here. Just not winning blocks. Couldn't win any blocks here. Probably had the wrong call. Also, like, it's a 4th and 1. Why are we, like, this is free. They're giving you this. Like, this is, you want to tush push or sneak it or whatever? Do it. Right here. What are we doing? That was a tush push play, right? Why, I mean, this is a great look. Right here. Tush push. Nah. It's bad. It's bad. Just completely unorganized offense and a high leverage down in the fourth quarter in a game you wind up losing. It's bad. Bills get off the field again on 3rd down. They're going to dial up a blitz for Cole Bishop. Great execution, right? Right at the snap. You're not telling anything. They're probably concerned about the pressure opportunities over here. Well, your real threat's here. Get in there, great timing. Flush the quarterback. Daquan Jones with some secondary pressure. Force it into a throwaway, get off the field, punt it back. Defense did their part. 3rd down stop. All right, here's a 2nd down sack. The Bills are trying to get the ball to Josh Palmer here on a go ball. And they get a good look against Lassiter. If you're just watching Palmer, like, nice job, you hold the red line. It's an opportunity to throw it, right? Put it out there, see what happens, right? 2nd down. Unfortunately, Josh Allen can't get the throw off because the protection doesn't hold up. Both tackles lose. I mean, Palmer starts this route at the 42. He doesn't get to the 45, the other 45 until, he's being contacted. He's getting contacted right here at like the 48. And Josh needs to be able to hit his back foot, take a hitch, and be able to rip it. And he can't. He can't, right? Protection's not there. That's what you're working on. You want that throw, and you probably want to come back to the check down if it's not there. So let's look at the protection. Obviously, Spencer Brown out here trying to block Will Anderson with one arm, and it's tough to do, right? He doesn't have access to this arm. Be able to typically get his hand put on that shoulder and keep him at bay, and he can't. Meanwhile, Deion Dawkins is getting beat by 95 here on an inside spin. And Deion kind of 45 degrees into a vertical set. Kind of opens up and able to spin back inside and get a sack on Josh Allen. You're now in 3rd and long, which the Bills are going to be able to overcome. They'll eventually kick a field goal on this drive, but that's a big loss. Your tackles can't hold up in pass pro, and you had a decent look there to get the ball down the field to Palmer. Here's a great play for the Bills on 3rd and long after that sack. Houston's smelling blood in the water, and they're going to wind up blitzing. So you get this orbit return motion by Shakir, and look at all these bodies coming at the pocket. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're sending 6. Josh Allen keeps his eyes downfield and then just dump it and see what happens. And what happens is Khalil Shakir gets a bunch of yards to convert a 3rd and 1,000,000. Make a miss. Make a miss. Let's go. Big time play. Give yourself a chance. Chalk one up for the good guys there. All right, here's another Josh Allen sack, and it's unfortunate because the Bills had a heck of a play call here. And everybody hates the bubble screens of Khalil Shakir. Well, they had a nice little counter built off of this, right? Show this screen. You can see the attention that it gets, right? So you show it, but you're not throwing it. You're never thinking about throwing it. What you want to do is work the ball back to the middle of the field on this in cut from Josh Palmer. And then if that's not there, you also have kind of this complementary route here by Gabe Davis that's working back into Josh Allen's vision. This is an awesome play call. I love it. I love it. Fake the bubble. We work back to the dig to Palmer, and then if that's not there, we work to Gabe Davis. Well, the problem is your left guard takes an L here, David Edwards. And I'll be honest with you, David Edwards is either the best or the second best offensive lineman the Bills have had this year. And he takes an L here to, well, Tim Settle. Tim Settle never did any of this for us, but he can do it for Houston. And that's a really good rush, right? He's going to bowl, convert speed to power, and then he kind of works a two-hand swipe into a rip. Just wins a rep. Which wins a rep. David Edwards is, he's kind of getting worked this way, so all of his body weight's going that way. So even to redirect, and he's just out of there. That's just a great rush by Tim Settle. Ruins it because that'd have been a nice play. It'd been a really nice play. I like the design. I like the play call. Left guard takes an L. So let's look at a couple plays from this failed game-winning drive. This is going to be the second down sack that puts the Bills in 3rd and 1,000,000. And they're trying to get something down the field here. Nothing really uncovers. You got Kaliki Letu on this delayed release, and maybe he can get open in the middle of the field. But ultimately, the protection kind of breaks down. And my thought on this play is that because Ryan Vandemark's in at right tackle and it's not Spencer Brown, Josh Allen almost always in this situation is going to bail to his right. And he never does, and he should. I don't think he's expecting this to be available to him. But when he looks to kind of get into scramble drill, look where he tries to go, to his left, and there's just nowhere to go that way. If he would bail to his right, which I understand, you got a backup right tackle. They've been killing you off this side all game. I think that's Hunter, right? Or that's Anderson. I get it. You don't want to go that way. I understand it. I wish you would have, because probably you at least get a throwaway and it's 2nd and 10 as opposed to 3rd and what is this going to wind up being, like 3rd and 12 or 3rd and 22? Excuse me. Yeah, I think that mattered here. But, if protection holds up for a little bit longer, maybe he can work the ball here. I don't know. It's or you want to work the ball back to Letu in the middle of the field. I think obviously they wanted this corner route. It's not available, right? I think that's what Josh is trying to get to is this corner route. But this safety is able to kind of play over top of it. There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go, and unfortunately, Josh, I don't felt comfortable rolling to his right, and he winds up kind of going right into where the pressure is. They overcome it, though, which is fun. We'll get to that here in a second. So things get worse. Ryan Vandemark gets beat for a sack. Well, he doesn't technically get beat for a sack. He holds him, which is what he should do. And you get a penalty here, and they decline the penalty because why wouldn't you just take the result of the play? That's a tough assignment. Ryan Vandemark coming in cold. You got to block Will Anderson, and you got to get more depth and width in that set. And Anderson's able to win around the edge there, and so I think Vandemark does what he probably should do, and unfortunately gets a penalty, and now you're in 4th and 1,000,000, but the Bills overcome it. And here's how they overcome it in a play that is the most forgettable play in a long time by the Buffalo Bills, overcoming 4th and, 27 or something. It's a really good play call. Get it out here to Palmer and the flick to Shakir. And ultimately, this is just a really bad job by Derek Stingley. Stingley's got to be able to carry this. He's just drifting and not paying attention. And, boy, that'd be tough. Fun play, right? Ultimately didn't lead to a win, but gave yourself a real chance. That's a really bad job by Derek Stingley. Conversion. Yay, the Bills are in business. You know how it ends. I thought Josh had the right idea here. Unfortunately, can't quite get the second down foot for Gabe Davis, but at this point in the game, based on the way their pass rush was going, you just had to pick a matchup and throw it, right? Hit your back foot and just throw it. And that's what he does, right? Gabe Davis, throw it up to him. And Gabe makes a great play on the ball. He just can't get the second foot down. mitigate the rush. Just throw it. You just got to throw it, right? Just got to throw it. That's what he does. Gives Gabe a great chance. 1, 2 comes out of bounds. Game of inches, right? All the things that went wrong for the Bills. I like their chances of scoring if that's a completed play. All right, here's the failed third down play before the Deion Dawkins false start, and then the failed fourth down play. 3rd and 1. I like the play call. You threaten Ty Johnson quickly. You work back the other way to Shakir. You got your mesh concept, right? So you got all these crossers. Shakir comes out of there clean. Will Anderson makes a play on the ball. You wish you can get the ball up a little bit higher here. Get the ball to Shakir. You probably get a first down and maybe a little bit more. Great play by Will Anderson. Very unfortunate. And then what happens on the next play? You go from 4th and 1 to 4th and 6. I mean, what Dawkins, brother? Like, you're not even close. Not even close. It's a horrible mistake. Makes it a lot harder. All right, here's my thoughts on the last play of the game. Obviously, there's going to be offensive pass interference called by Gabe Davis. I guess they want him to make more of an effort to get out of the way here. I mean, I think he's trying. I think if this would have been a completed pass to Palmer and they called this as OPI, boy, I'd had a hard time with that. I'd have a really hard time with that. I mean, clearly he's trying to get a rub, but also he's also not trying to collision. Like I think he's trying to move out of the way. That's a judgment call. That's a tough call to make right there. Like if this would have been completed to Palmer, boy, geez. Obviously, Palmer doesn't see it the same way Josh does, and so he starts to get depth when he needs to flatten and go catch the football. I know everybody wants to talk about Dawson Knox on the mesh, right? He does come out clean. You'd like Josh to be able to throw that. I just don't know if he sees it. Like there's a lot in his line of vision here. I don't know if he sees it. And he's got a decent opportunity to throw the ball to Palmer. They're not on the same page. But, I mean, look at it from this angle. You can see how muddy this looks for Josh. He gets his eyes this way. He's got 90. I don't know if he sees Knox. It doesn't matter because they called OPI. I think you just take exception. I think this is where you take exception. You just don't call mesh here, right? You got a backup right tackle in here. You have a backup right tackle. Your protection's been bad all game. And you can't throw mesh until they clear the ball. So that immediately puts Josh in a position where he can't make a quick decision. He can't make a quick decision on 4th and 6. He can't. They have to clear the ball. And by that time, he's got things caving in around him. He can't really make a good throw. It's a bad play call. It's ultimately a bad play call. And then on top of that, whatever the heck they called here, I don't think that was intentional enough. That I thought he made a deliberate attempt to not make contact here. He reduces his shoulder. I don't know. Maybe I'm seeing it with my Bills fan goggles on. It's a bad play call. It's a bad play call there at the end of the game.